am I? It is perhaps the simplest, yet the most difficult question in humans. History, does it even have an answer? We've all heard Karl Marx's famous declaration. The human essence is the ensemble of the social relations. It sounds grandpa, doesn't it? But I'm sure you've wondered, perhaps late at night, if we stripped away your job, your family, your friends, and all these external labels, who is that naked, raw self left underneath? First, the most common understanding is that our self is shaped by society. I am my mother's daughter, my teacher's student, my friend's friend. We use these relationships. Who am I to answer? But here, I want to introduce a fascinating concept from the political theorist C.B. Macpherson. He argued that in modern society, an individual is seen as the owner of their own capacities and skills. What does this mean? It means we coexist in a massive market where we sell our labor to survive. We define each other through competition. To put it bluntly, sometimes who you are simply equals what is your market value. Even more interesting is the concept of atomization. Some sociologists argue that our strong modern individual consciousness comes from mobility. We are no longer bound to a single cities or regions. We are free to move to any corner of the world. This detachment from geography turns us into independent atoms, sparking the realization, self of the individual. Part 2. 3 layers of self. Despite this atomic independence, mainstream sociology still insists that the individual comes from social definitions. I like to summarize this into 3 layers. The given self. This is who you were born as. Your origin, your parents. These innate ties give us our initial definition, the created self. This happens when you paint and do research, or play soccer. You realize, oh, I am a person who loves art. This is the discovery of your internal preferences and goals. The claimed self. This is about rights and identity. For example, the LGBTQ+ community, or educated women asserting their place. In short, the self can be divided into who was I born as, who do I choose to become, and who do I have the right to be. The Western concept of the self has deep roots, originating primarily from 3 sources. The first is the Roman concept of persona. Originally, this meant the mask, worn in public rituals to indicate social status. This suggests that the earliest self was seen simply as an outward social role. The second is the religious concept of the soul. This introduced the idea of the soul existing separately from the body, and the struggle between the two. It shifted focus from the external mask to the invisible internal spiritual world. The third source is the philosophical definition from Immanuel Kant. Kant defined the self through 3 distinct points. The transcendental rational self. This is not about our specific memories. It refers to our ability to abstract ourselves from specific social contexts and cultures, leaving behind a pure rational subject, no matter where we are. This rational core remains the unity of action. Through practice, we unify our thoughts with our behaviors. I am only truly myself when my actions align with my will. The capacity for self-regulation. We have the ability to control our instincts and not be enslaved by random desires. Transition to sociology. Now regarding this last point, self-regulation. There is an interesting twist. For Kant, this comes from an internal moral law, but sociologists later argued that this ability is actually a social mirror. We don't behave inappropriately in public because we are objectifying ourselves. We look at ourselves through through the eyes of others, empathizing with their perspective to regulate our behavior. The role of fiction. This shifting of perspective is everywhere. Theaters and novels, for instance, when we read are essentially ways of shifting identities. We temporarily step out of our own bodies and into another's narrative. This is another way to observe and explore who am I from a safe distance. After Hegel, the picture changes again. Have you noticed that we only truly feel who we are when we go to a place with a completely different languages and cultures? Hegel believed that it is difference that defines the self. This difference creates conflict. This conflict isn't just external, it's internal. It's not just mood swings like liking pink in the morning and green in the afternoon. It is a deeper dialectical movement. For example, I yearn to be free, but society demands I be disciplined. Or I crave stability, yet desire adventure. It is precisely this internal negation and split that drives the growth of the self. This connects to the division of labor. Marx believed that status conflicts, like why are you rich and I'm poor, trigger class consciousness, driving social change. But Nietzsche and Weber were more pessimistic. They didn't think the division of labor brought self-identity. Instead, they argued that modern society acts like an iron cage, oppressing the authentic vital self. Nietzsche even argued that the self is often just a varnish of social morality. Finally, we cannot ignore psychology, specifically Freud. You likely know the theory. The superego is the moral regulator of society. The ID represents our primal desires, and the tension between them creates the ego, the self. A healthy self is one that survives this war between desire and morality without being crushed. To sum up, self and society are inseparable. But is it possible to discover our true, original selves through interaction with others? In the next video, we will dive deeper into how the I is salvaged from the ocean of society. Thanks for watching and seeing you next time.